Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new episode of Nostalgia Bait. I'm your host for this week, Britton, and don't fall out of your chairs as I'm joined by my lovely co-host, George Sheard.
That is terrible, mate. That is abysmal. That's actually it's brilliant.
It's a good one.
It's a proper dad joke. I appreciate it.
It's a proper dad joke, yeah.
I had something lined up, but it's just I can't
It's
let that
You
slide.
can't follow my amazing dad joke. If my corny pun didn't give it away enough, this week we are going to be discussing Fallout games, specifically the Fallout TV series as
mainly, because I don't really know much about the games.
Yeah. We'll probably delve into the games a tiny little bit.
Yeah, of course. You have to. It's a video game
yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the TV show mainly as it's, for us, recently come out. I've only just finished it today as of recording, so I'm very excited and I've very much... I'm not even going to say anything. We're going to save that for when we get into it. But yeah.
Spicy details.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I was just going to say one thing, and I mean, it's gone, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I fucking spent about a minute trying to make sure I was saying it right.
Okay, come on then.
Fio Fuerte Y Formal. That's all I wanted to say when you introduced me, but you said fucking fall out of your chair, and it was like, alright, that's just fucking brilliant.
What?
I can't.
You're just such a presence that we can't have people falling out of their chairs when they find out that you're on this podcast that you co-created. Shock horror. You're here this week. Literally. Anyway. I've probably got you with that one, haven't I?
Just derailed. Anyway, Fallout. Insert whatever music goes. To be fair, the Fallout music is not appropriate for the TV. I don't want to set the world on fire.
The music that they use in Fallout is not what the music you'd expect to be used in Fallout, but my god, it's incredible. It's amazing.
For me, I think it is kind of appropriate. I think it works incredibly well because the whole show's aesthetic, especially the Vault-Tec stuff, is very much like, it kind of feels like it has that aesthetic of something that is like, almost like Space Age, right? You know when you look at like sort of retro future where it's like the 50s vision of what the future will look like. This is like the 50s version of like an apocalypse. This is like the 50s sort of future aesthetic.
Or it's like that
so the music's appropriate for me.
It's like that post-World War II America where everyone was like, we're the perfect country. Yeah. We've definitely not just done this to a country, and we've definitely just not lost like this many soldiers, like that kind of thing.
Anything for Oppenheimer scraps with you, isn't it?
No, that was not. That was not intentional at all. But no, you know what I mean. It's
like we got a nuke, right? Like I get it.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's like that. Yeah, it's like that, like perfect. Well, I guess it is 1950s America where everyone was like, "We are the perfect country. We are like innocent and all that kind of stuff." Like, but then the music reflects it. And I think it's perfect. The Fallout music is phenomenal. All the music picks are amazing. Yeah, and it reflects it in the show. There's so many scenes within the show where it's jokey comedy, or it's either jokey comedy when it really shouldn't be, or it's the most harrowing thing you've ever seen on TV, and it's playing the most like. No. Like, it's proper, it's like, old
really
school
clever.
Radio
and I think
music,
that's the thing for me, this show. And we'll sort of get into sort of origins of it. Jesus Christ, I can't say it in a bit. But I think for me, it's like, that's it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. This is exactly what video game adaptations need to be like. It's like you have to have a little bit of sort of whimsical value, a little bit, especially with Fallout as well, which doesn't take itself too seriously as games either. But the series sort of has that perfect balance. And you know what? I knew it would. I knew it would be excellent. Yeah. And I can tell you why I knew it would be excellent.
Because Jonathan Nolan was attached to it.
Jonathan Nolan was attached to it, exactly.
I was going to say this. This is one of the first things within the first few episodes. Does it not remind you of Westworld? The first season of Westworld. Does the ghoul that remind you of the Man in Black?
Well, I mean, yeah, that was always going to be the case.
Takes someone hostage to search for some like.
Oh God, yeah. Ooh.
Yep.
I mean, look.
Also the fact
I'm here for it. Like, I love it anyway, and I think
also Also, the fact you learn about the ghoul's story as the series goes on, which is exactly the same as Man in Black.
That's actually very good.
And I was like, wait. I was like, it was when like he's with Lucy, and I was like, wait. Yeah, and then it was like, hang, and then it starts like tease stuff later on. I was like, wow.
Man, that final episode, man, was so good. Like, I mean, we'll get on to all that. First of all, though, I was actually going to ask you because I am interested. Mm-hmm. What is your experience with the games?
So Are
you a Bethesda guy?
Not really. I've played Skyrim. That's about You literally.
Fair.
But I played Fallout 4 not for very long when it first came out in 2015, and then have never touched it with a 10-foot pole until literally last week. And I've been playing through Fallout 4 again essentially for the first time because I didn't get through much of it. And I've been really enjoying it. It's quite a nice game. I was playing it today after I finished the series, and I had some stressful times.
Yeah.
But there's some very cool stuff that, just to go on like a slight tangent kind of thing, I and we were talking about this just before, one of the reasons Fallout came onto my radar so much was my TikTok and Instagram just gave me just essentially just lore dumped me with Fallout lore, and I got completely hooked on it and was like, I fancy playing the games. And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to find another vault while I was playing. And today I actually was Googling like where the vaults are. I couldn't find, like, I didn't look too far into it, and accidentally within about 10 minutes accidentally stumbled upon a random vault and had a complete like look through it, all the lore and stuff for it. The lore is absolutely fucked for the vaults in any of the games if you look into some of them shit. See, it is wild.
That's it for me. Is like I didn't know all that going in. Like I had played Fallout 4 very briefly years ago when it first came out. I played it a little bit and I didn't really like it that much. I've never been a big Bethesda guy, admittedly. I'm not a fan of their gameplay dynamic. I don't think it holds up to sort of modern games. I think I love the aesthetic of it. For me, the way I described it is if Fallout's world and aesthetic was with the gameplay engine of like Red Dead, it would be one of the best games ever made. But I just can't get behind it. Now, I didn't play in New Vegas. I didn't play 3.
I haven't played New Vegas. I've literally
Everyone raves about that. Everyone raves about that, and that's supposed to be very good. For me, I played Fallout 4. I didn't really get it, but then I'm not a big Bethesda guy, so I can understand that. But when this series came out, I knew of it initially because of Jonathan Nolan. No, that's not true. Actually, I saw that. No, the trailer came out for it, and I was like, "Oh well, Fallout show, that'll be interesting. The aesthetic's really cool. I'll watch the trailer for it." I watched the trailer. I saw the Jonathan Nolan name drop, and I was like, "I am in." And then when it came out, and it had like 9 out of 10 star reviews or whatever, I was like, "This is." Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be so good. Like, it's going to be a really, really good show. But off the back of that, because I just trusted immediately, like, Jonathan Nolan, and he's getting those sorts of reviews. It's a sort of video game adaptations at the minute. We've already talked about them in previous episodes, but we're getting some really good ones at the minute. The Last of Us was incredible. Fallout was great. We are slowly paving the way for Red Dead, please.
I don't even think video game adaptations. I think adaptations are nowadays, like, there was like the Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation. There was the One Piece adaptation, which both again were phenomenal. I know you're not. I
don't really get it, but I know they were good. I've heard.
But this is the thing. It's like, it's not even just like, for me, it's adaptations are starting to get better because companies are starting to listen to creators. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a complete rogue, and that's something that is a complete other rabbit hole. But I think adaptation in general, we've gone through some awful adaptations over the years, some awful movie adaptations, some awful TV show adaptations.
But that's because the general media didn't get it. They didn't get what video games were to people. They thought it was kind of a nerdy occult thing, and they didn't really get it without the fact that you just have to adapt it the way. You know what? For me, and I thought about this, and I did a tweet about this, but I was like, Fallout. What it really, really made me want was two video game adaptations. Obviously, one is Red Dead, right?
Yeah.
It lends itself to a story perfectly. It's brilliant. It's a massive ensemble cast. You could do so much with that, and the sort of genre making Western stuff popular again after Westworld did, obviously. The other one, Portal.
Oh my!
Could you imagine an adaptation in the style of this?
God,
of like
yes.
The same tongue-in-cheek thing,
yes.
but a lot more lore breathed into it. Hey, you could even have the main actress here playing and Shell. It would work completely fine.
Oh,
it'd be perfect.
I didn't even think about that. If you just take Portal 1 and 2 and completely extend them, do what you've done with this, where you have,
or just make it a different test subject in a different part, at a different time. Again, similar to Fallout, where it's like they're coming from a different vault, but it's the same world and it's canon.
I do like that Fallout have done. Yeah, I love that Fallout's not an adaptation. It's like it's a continuation of the franchise essentially, and it's set like I think Fallout 4 is the latest in the time. I think it's like I think the Fallout TV show is like 20 years after the game.
That's
or something
the cool
like
thing
that.
about it, is you're going to have the show come out, and the show's going to be, and then by the time in like 2030, which isn't even a joke, that is genuinely what they've said for Fallout 5. In 2030, when that game comes out, you can imagine the amount of connections to the show it's going to have.
Oh, easily.
Probably going to have actors from the show appear in the games, and that'll just be incredible. Like at that point, especially the ghoul as well.
Yeah, but I think Fallout 4 is 2276, and then this is 2296, 97, whatever it is, something like that. So it's like it's close enough to Fallout, but then again, the Fallout franchise, what it does so well is it takes the whole of America, and everywhere is Fallout 4 set in Boston, and then this one's set in California, and then you've got like obviously New Vegas, which is teased near the end.
Where's that?
I wonder where New Vegas is. Yeah. Even New Vegas, I wonder. But yeah, it's like it lends itself really well to be able to. And I know one of the worrying things going into this was when they were doing interviews, a lot of the actors were told to not play the games, which for a lot of adaptations is quite a red flag, being like, do not divulge any of the content. But I think it still works because it is
the main
different.
Actress,
the main actress did. She said
she did actually play the games, and it pays off.
Yeah. She said she did it because she wanted to like have the like that moment where she puts on the Vault suit or puts on the Pip-Boy for the first time. Like, but yeah, I think it for being told not to play the games, it's still a very, very fucking good adaptation, and is perfectly. I think the one thing I was worried about is how do you explain like all of the Fallout lore? Like, how do you explain all of the 2077 stuff? How do you explain the war and everything?
They do a perfect job of it, because as someone like myself who isn't that engrossed with the games, I was fascinated by this. I thought it was brilliant. I thought there was so much to it where I was like, this is exactly the perfect thing, because what it's done is it's sold me on the franchise. It sold me on the aesthetic and the vibe of it. I think it works perfectly, and I think the cast is absolutely a part of that.
Oh, it's
massively
perfect.
A notable mention, which I'll just throw in here now, not the whole thing of the series that it saved it on, but my God, they utilised Matt Berry so well in this. I love that man, and I knew he was playing the robot, Mr. Codsworth. That was it. And it was just, and then he had the cameo in when he's like the voice actor behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so like, you know what it is? It's so Westworld. Like, that's exactly the kind of thing Westworld would do, where it's like you have a character and then you have just like a random young version of that character popping up in a flashback just for no reason at all. But
I
love
that scene where they were like, oh yeah, I was talking with my agent, I tried to get more money, and they were like, we'll give you the same amount of money and give you one of the robots. And now every time I walk into my house, I get greeted by my own voice or something.
Would you like to sit down, sir?
Yeah.
And the thing is, he talks like Matt Berry. You'd expect Matt Berry character to do. Yeah. I love it. I just love it. I think it's perfect.
Really good.
It's perfect for him, and I really think that was a genius stroke of casting. As were most of the other characters in this show as well.
Yeah.
Just to sort of name a few, Walton Goggins, who is probably the highlight of this series for me, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think Ella Purnell's great, actually. Phenomenal in her character as well. But Walton Goggins just has this fucking like aesthetic behind him. I don't know what it is, but it's just brilliant. Like, he's got that sauce that when he's on screen.
Not again.
You don't like using that word, do you? But he's got that sort of sauce that when he's on screen, you can't look away. Willem Dafoe's got that. Emperor Palpatine's got that. I think Walton Goggins has got a little bit of that in him.
He's getting it. Maybe this is the beginning.
Yeah,
maybe this is the
exactly. And he's brilliant.
He's becoming sauced up. That's the.
And I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but the finale.
Phenomenal.
When we have that flashback to him meeting Henry. When he was young.
Spoilers, by the way, if you've not watched Fallout.
Well, you should have watched Fallout. I mean, you should have. Yeah. If you're going to listen to the podcast about a month after the show came out, that's your own fault.
For some reason, if you haven't watched it, please, for the love of God, go watch it, please.
But and he sort of comes out and he's sort of like de-aged and whatever. It looks brilliant, I think, anyway. But he's sort of a fan of his, and then the payoff when we turn around and Henry's in the sort of the armor, and the ghoul walks in and he's like, you want another autograph, young Henry? I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
He says the thing in Spanish that
Fio Fuerte Y Formal. I forgot. Fuck you.
But yeah, it's so, honestly, I would not have. I tried guessing what was behind Vault 31 the entire show. I don't think I ever would have guessed it.
I think I was sort of thinking it's clever, but you know what it is? It works. It's that. I mean, I know it's not all like Jonathan Nolan. There is a fantastic team of creatives behind this show that made it work completely. It was sort of produced as well by him, and he directed a couple of episodes, but I don't think he wrote them. So we can't sort of think
he wrote episode 1.
Okay, maybe he wrote episode 1, but I don't
know what else he wrote.
I'm not sort of pointing out anything where it's like it's all Jonathan Nolan. I think there's a phenomenal team of creatives behind this which really made that work. But this is the exact kind of show that I love. Right? It's got the mystery boxes, but not too obvious. Not like Marvel do it, where they're like, oh, there's a returning character coming back in episode 1, and then the returning character comes back in episode 6, and it's the person you saw filming on set. It's like I don't want it to be a character all the time. I sometimes like it to be an actual story point. What is in Vault 31? Who are the people who are coming from there? What is it? And it all lines up perfectly in a way that you couldn't immediately predict, and I love that. That's the sign of the perfect, like a really well written show can do that, and I think Fallout's one of them. Westworld is another who sort of brought that. I know, but it's connected.
No, but I'm laughing because I was literally going to say that it really does remind me of Westworld.
It is,
like,
it does.
It not even just the Ghoul thing that we were saying earlier. Like the way it's like the having the flashbacks to before 2077, like having that mystery throughout the whole thing, like dropping little bits in here and there. And it's probably one of those things where if you go back and watch it, there's probably really like early signs to show it. There's probably signs really early on, which I think is really clever. Yeah, and it's one of the. It's like, it just does remind me of Westworld, which obviously is probably.
I love that. I know.
Yeah,
but
which isn't a bad thing at all.
Of it. It's a really great thing, and I'm hoping off the back of this that if Jonathan Nolan is more involved with this, that eventually they will trust him to finally finish that bloody show. But I think this is just phenomenal. I really do. It's one of those shows every now and then that you stumble upon and you're like, this is actually just great TV. I don't think it's as good as Westworld yet, but I think it's building to something better and bigger, and I'm so excited with what they've shown so far and what they've got. And the way the story's going, it's been immediately commissioned for a season 2. It's one of the biggest launches on Amazon Prime. They are cooking, and I am fully here for it. I'm so excited to see what they're going to bring to the table here. I with the next series, I mean, because series 1 was incredible, and as someone who was not a fan of the games, it sold me on the idea of that world and that world building, that sort of the aesthetic, the music. I mean, the music I was sold on anyway. I love the aesthetic of the games, but I just never got into them. But this really sold me on the whole idea and the lore of it as well. I didn't care in the games, but I'm watching this and I'm like, ghouls, that's a really interesting concept. Like the Brotherhood is such an interesting concept. The Vault's such an interesting concept. I did like the fucking cameo from Jerry from Rick and Morty, because he's got such a distinct voice that I couldn't.
Oh my god!
You idiot! Did you not get that?
No.
Oh, for fuck's sake! It's so. You know who I mean? No. The guy with the one eye.
Yeah.
You know it though. You know what I'm talking about.
Wait,
Jerry from Rick and Morty. He sounds exactly the same, bro. He's like literally talks exactly the same. Has the same sort of comedic timing. Everything. Think about it.
I did not. I didn't even. Yeah, I didn't even think. I didn't even realize.
Just honestly, after this recording, we'll get a clip up, and you'll be like, "Oh
yeah,
my God,
I didn't. I will now. I can hear it in my head. I can literally hear it now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that was great.
Wow,
and that whole thing with the vault was great. An appreciation as well for Aaron Moulton, who played Maximus in this. I thought
Max was such a good character.
I think he's a great character. Probably my least favourite of the main 3, to be honest. I think for me, I don't know. I felt that
probably,
I think that Lucy and the ghouls characters were more significant to me. I thought this character was really good as well. I think it was just a bit inconsistent. I couldn't tell who he was trying to be, and I think it was a bit too mysterious, and the motivations were a bit all over the place. But the character is a bit all over the place, so it makes sense.
Thought he was a funny character.
And that's what I was going to get to.
Good comedic timing.
My God, some of the fucking memes I've made off the back of that, like,
so funny.
Oh my God! Well, I mean, excuse my vulgar language I'm about to say, but the line where he discovers oysters and eats a fucking shit ton of them, and he's like, "Oh, they're called oysters. They make me feel funny. Want to make my cock explode now?" Oh, sorry, I mean intercourse. Oh my God, the amount of memes I've made about people going, "This is their Riz." Not going to name names.
one of the things that stood out for me, even the entire show, was just the comedic timing. Like, Maximus's character especially, there's so many moments where it was just unserious, but it works so well, and it was just so good. Like, when he first gets in the power suit and he's fighting the ghoul in Philly, there's just so many moments in that, like when he sees Lucy for the first time, and they're like having the really awkward conversation.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that, and I think it went well. That was the one plot hole of the show, though, wasn't it, that I saw people point out, that was that if the ghoul knew about this armor weakness,
oh my god!
why didn't he just do it in the second? Like,
that's
first
true.
episode?
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, that's a good point. But maybe
maybe
he just saw that it was like some guy, and he was like,
Yeah.
I'll mess about. I fancy a bit
it's
of fun.
just some boy.
There's always reason. I want to say as well, the opening I think sold me completely on the show. I love the opening with Cooper, which I'm sure you love. I'm sure you love that.
I do.
It's like Interstellar. You love it.
Yes. Oh,
you
yes.
love it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
yeah, I do.
That's me.
Thing is that my name is it's becoming more common, but it's quite rare. But every time it is used, it's a very good use of it.
Mine's always using like old shit. Like I got the only one I can think of off the top of my head is like Back to the Future, like George McFly, which is not really a one that I want to be.
Good one. Yeah.
Yeah, but
you'll get you have George McFly. I have Matthew McConaughey and the Ghoul. So
yeah, right.
I have Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar.
I get
and
some
the Ghoul.
fucking skinny fucking dweeb who gets the shit beaten out of him.
Yeah.
Nice. Anyway, story of my life.
But yeah, it is. Yeah,
I love that opening. That opening is amazing. Where the whole thing with the thumb, and he's like, I'm not doing that.
Did you put two and two together from the
mean?
start? Because I didn't. When he said the thumb thing, I didn't even realize that's what they were referencing. Like the Pit Boy.
But yeah.
Ball
But
boy,
like,
thumb up.
but then they do the whole thing with the explosion, and I thought that was brilliant. What a great bit of dialogue to explain. It's like, if it's smaller than your thumb, run for the hills. If it's bigger than your thumb, accept it. Basically,
Yeah.
And you know, he goes in, he gets a drink, and his daughter's there with the thumb, and that one like heartbreaking line where she's like, "Is it your thumb or mine?
Is it your thumb or mine?"
Oh, God. And then the whole thing just is it's incredible. Like, that entire opening sequence just sells you on the show.
Yeah.
And one thing I wasn't expecting beyond that was the violence.
Oh my god, it was gruesome at times. It was
Westworld.
Gruesome. Yeah.
Just saying, it's the same sort of thing.
When Thingy takes after he's been crushed by the power armor, broke his foot, and takes his sock off, I was like, oh my god.
That really upset me. I didn't like that at all. And then,
as much as it was CGI, I was like, Jesus. There was so many in it where I was like, Jesus Christ.
like when in the opening scene where Lucy like killed that guy with the blender.
Oh yeah, it's
Awful.
That was like off the. But it's like the start's like, it's not tame, but it's tame comparison to like later on in the show. Like, there's some.
I genuinely
shit.
thought when they were going to cut that guy's head off, I thought we were going to see the whole thing here, and I don't want to see that.
I did as well.
I'm glad they didn't, but I was like, oh
God,
I feel like we're going to end up seeing it, and I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it was gruesome. I think it was good though. I think it's necessary. I think it puts it into like perspective. Like, it puts perspective of the world. Like, it's not all hunky dory. It's not all dainty. Like,
sure,
people. Like, it is gruesome and brutal, like
as it would be, and I think you have to sort of show that. And I think it had that perfect balance of sort of comedy and as well. Like, it is a bit goofy around the edges, and I think if it tried to take itself too seriously, it wouldn't work. But it balances that comedy with that drama, and that's why those scenes are so impactful. For me, it was the scene where he meets young Henry, and he's listening to his wife justify causing the end of the world, and I'm like, oh. Because I didn't know any of that, right? Because I always thought that like Voltec was like not the good guys, but from the games I was like, oh, they're always like the hearty ones. They look after some rich people or whatever. But that's about it.
From what I've read before the Fallout TV show, it was it's not obviously confirmed with the TV show, but it's actually uncertain on who dropped the first bomb. Obviously, it's the wars between America and China, and when one bombed the other one bombs back. Essentially, that's what causes this to start. But from the TV show, it's implied that Voltec dropped the first bomb. From what I gathered, is it kind of implies that Voltec are going to drop the first bomb on America, so therefore America will fight back, and then China will fight back again. If that makes sense.
100%.
Which it was from what I was reading and saw online, it was a very heavy theory for a long time that Vault-Tec were involved, and Vault-Tec dropped the first bomb. But this it's not, like I said, it's not confirmed, but it's very heavily implied that Vault-Tec were the first ones that caused it. And especially all the stuff with like cold fusion, like if you are this massive company and your whole thing is we need this war to happen, then it just makes sense like why you would do it, if that makes sense.
It's crazy,
like, why
isn't
you'd
it?
hide this cold fusion.
I love that. I love that plot point, because I was sort of just like, I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't get that would be the case, and that would be the thing that they do with it, and that would be the sort of angle they go. And I was like genuinely very impressed, because I was like, that's actually really clever, nuanced storytelling in terms of like a reveal, in terms of a commentary on capitalism. It works incredibly well, and I was like, oh wow, that is actually really clever, because it creates a proper dilemma scenario. I did not think for a second that the people in the vaults were bad people at all. I didn't think they were corporate entities or anything like that. So when we saw young Henry, and then we have more of the reveal about the fact that he sort of blew up a whole city just because his wife left, I was like, oh my god, I was like, that is genuine. It's incredible, because I was like, this is really clever storytelling. You know, a lot of shows do this thing where they build up so much drama, and it's sort of like, oh my god, how are they going to wrap this up? And they don't do it very well. For example, Ahsoka. And I
hate you. There was no need. There was absolutely
you know what? I wasn't
no
even planning
need.
on saying it, and then it came to my mind. I was like, I stand by it. I stand by it. No, actually, Ahsoka had a decent finale, to be fair. I can't knock that. It's just like when I talk about this, it's like, it's on another level, this, because the reveals are so satisfying. It's not about where the story ends or how, you know, who dies or whatever. It's about the fact that you get key big moment reveals in that episode, as well as the drama, as well as those plot points about the characters. And that's what Westworld did, and that's why that was great. I don't want to spoil Westworld for people still, because I would encourage anyone to watch it who hasn't seen it before, and I don't want to spoil that for any new listeners. But the season 1 finale of Westworld does exactly that. It reveals lots of stuff, very big, exciting stuff that you didn't know, showcases a lot of stuff, and answers a lot of questions, but also has a lot of stuff for characters moving forward and makes decisions. A lot of shows nowadays don't do the reveals, they just do the whole, oh, this character ends up here. Like, Marvel shows as well, it's the same thing. I find that a lot of them just kind of come to a point where it's like, this is the point, and that's that. Cool, done, we got there,
It's a
done.
full story, but it's not at the same time. The series has its own threads. It completes... The main story arc of it was the head and what's in Vault 31. It completes those, but also leaves enough to have it leaves enough to have threads for the future, but you don't feel like unsatisfied.
And then when the ghoul is like standing up, and the ghoul standing up right at the end of one of his last lines, is like, "Where is my family?" It's like, then you realise you actually didn't know what his motivations were. You thought he was just fucking about, and now he has those motivations. He is going to find his family, and that's what he wants. And now you're invested in that. Off one line of dialogue, you get all of that. You have so many questions answered for this series, and then the next one is set up perfectly because you already know the motivations of the characters. A lot of shows suffer with stuff like this. A lot of shows can't do these big character moments, these big reveals, and they sort of try and wrap up all the plot threads they've got going on. I think Ahsoka was a bad example in that respect, because I think they have everything come into one direction, not as satisfying as it could have been, in my opinion. But I think
if you're comparing it to Fallout, it's not even.
No, well, that's what I mean.
You're comparing it to something like Fallout and
feels
Westworld,
like
it's not even
Westworld,
close.
right? That's the whole thing. I'm making a comparison of. It's like a finale that gives you big reveals and memorable moments, and then before the finale, you forget that a finale episode, right, is like an hour long usually. Yeah. You've got what a lot of shows do is they spend the hour getting to the end of the series as if that first 45 minutes could be part of the previous episode. What other shows do, like Westworld, is they spend the episode satisfyingly concluding all of the plot points and setting up potential new ones. Yeah. As well as doing those character things. There's a difference between like satisfying story-based reveals and twists and a character getting from A to Z, right? A character getting from A to Z is essential for a show to move on. But those reveals are what make it special. Yeah. We always knew, right, Lucy was going to get there and see her father and stuff, right? Yeah. But if it was everything we expected it to be, and she saved her father and saved the day, which I think a lot of shows probably would have just done, then that's too basic. The reveal of the person that we thought was bad, Moldova, being the good guy, really.
Having her mum as the skeleton at the table is such a good reveal.
Unbelievable. That
it was literally
that shocked me, that one.
I literally didn't clock it until literally a second prior. It was only until like I clocked it and then they panned the camera over. I was like, oh my god! I was like, wow. But it's just
unbelievable.
It's even just having every single character's, like the main character's stories are all interconnected, but in a way that doesn't feel forced. Like having Hank McClane be the one that caused Shady Sands, having Maximus be from Shady Sands, like having all this stuff, having the ghoul linked to Hank, like all this stuff, having Bud be the actual overseer of Vault 31, like that kind of thing. Like everything's interconnected, and it doesn't feel forced. It feels right, which 100%, I think is such a good, like it just shows amazing storytelling. But what I was going to say before, when we were talking about the scene when they're all in like the meeting room, having like all the execs of other companies start discussing, oh, we could do this in a vault like this, we could do this kind of social experiment. I guarantee that they're probably references to the game. There's probably the ones that they say are probably from ones that you've seen or like lore you've seen in the games. Because
but they open up the idea of it. It makes it more complex for me, because if it was just like, we'll have all the vaults and we can have people go into them and we'll pay for them and that's how we make money, that is enough. That makes sense. But to have it where it's like, each vault is going to have a different experiment. It's a completely corrupt system, not just for money.
Showing where the idea of the control vaults come from as well. It's such a clever idea.
It's incredible.
But it's not just Vault Tech as well. It's all the biggest companies. It's such a clever idea.
I think it sold me completely on the whole idea of everything, and it made me want to sort of try the games. And that's where we come into sort of an issue. So I watched the show, and I loved it, and I was like, I have to play Fallout now. 4. I have to play it again, because I must have missed something. Right? I started up, I'm like, this is cool. I love the aesthetic.
War never changes. The start of Fallout 4.
Yeah. Oh.
That cutscene.
War. Can we just the moment that they say that in the show,
yes,
is
when Thingy says it, when Cooper's wife says it,
real. When
I literally was like, yes, like full on celebration when she said it.
When she says that, it's like, well, war never changes. I was like, that is
they
such
said
a good.
The thing.
They said the thing, but I didn't even think of it like that. I knew that it was, but because I'd forgotten about that association with that phrase with Fallout, I wasn't waiting for it, and then she said it, and I was like, it hits you like a brick, and I'm like, that's amazing. But yeah, the game, I opened it up again and I played it, and I played the first sort of mission, and I just got really bored.
It's the Bethesda style of game. I know you don't like Skyrim. This is not to drag you through all the coals again, but it's like,
no, I just don't get it. I played it and I'm like, this is really slow. It's really slow. And I know it's started getting you into the world, and it's a bigger game, and you need to be patient with it. And I really do struggle with my patience. Like, I regret the first time I ever played Red Dead 2, I skipped half the cutscenes, and then I got to about halfway through the game, and I was like, oh,
sorry, what?
I know, I did. I was like, that's
criminal skipping cutscenes.
I know, but I was like, I just want to play the game. I don't really care about the story. I just want to play the game. And then about halfway through, the story got me, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
I'm actually super invested as to what's going on now. And then I went back and played it again eventually, and I played all the cutscenes, and I was like, this is actually incredible, and I should never have done that.
Yeah.
But Fallout is that sort of the same thing where I'm like, I just need something a bit more to get me going. Like, the show got me, the show hooked me, but with this, I played it. I did the first sort of mission where you go in the vault, you come out the vault, you go into the little town, you
find Codsworth,
I think, and you get in like a big mech suit, and then you take them all to the
power armor,
you get to take them all to the little village that you started in, and I got there, and I was like, I was watching them slowly walk up, these NPC slowly walk up this hill. I'm like, it's like watching fucking paint dry.
I think Fallout's a hard one because the Bethesda games, they don't as much as they have a thread of the games, like they have a main story, it's hard to find that main story. There's so much other stuff to do. If you're willing to give it another try, I'd honestly recommend sod the main story. Just go and walk. And I know that might sound fucking boring as out, but just exploring, finding these little villages, finding these little computers to find out what's happened here, finding like there was like I found like a hospital today that was full of like mutant humans that I raided, like trying to find the other vaults, like going through and seeing these other underground vaults and discovering like what happened in these vaults, because so many of the Fallout 4 ones, I found Vault 75 today, which is like the Vault 75 was it was built underneath a middle school, and all the parent, teachers and children were like said, okay, if the bombs drop, you are given place in this school. Basically what they did was any child that was under 17 was sent off to meet the overseer. Every 18 plus year old was killed as they entered the vault, and the children were then tested and basically became mutant super soldiers, and basically were like genetically formed, and over like the 200 years or whatever it is, the genetics kept getting passed forward and forward and forward until these kids became so strong that they just rebelled against all the scientists and the overseers and killed everyone in the vaults. And you basically find this vault, find all of this information. It's like that's the part that I love about it. It's like discovering this. Like the thing that I love the most, and I'm glad they did it in the show, was showing other vaults. For the second season, I'd love to see an abandoned vault. I'd love them to find a vault that's been abandoned and have that kind of discovery of what's been going on. I'd love to see a Fat Man. I'd love to see like the nuclear. It's basically like it's a nuke launcher essentially. It's called a Fat Man, or a Fat Boy. It's called one of the two.
Look, I for a second, the way you said that was so just nonchalant. I was like, I understand now what you're saying, and I did click almost a second after you're saying like, I'd love to see an abandoned vault. I'd love to see like a mysterious storyline. I'd love to see a Fat Man. There's something quite there that doesn't really fit with the rest of.
But yeah, if you're willing to give Fallout 4 a go, I'd honestly recommend, because I have friends who religiously will die by the Fallout games, and I have a friend who literally plays Fallout, or he doesn't do the main story, he just walks. He just wanders.
I get that.
The whole land.
I get that. See, I would do that with what is still in the works, I think. And I don't know, I think it got shafted by the newest release date, but Fallout London.
Yeah.
Which I live in London. I'm in Camden quite a lot. When I saw that, I was like, this is how I'm going to get into Fallout, is by playing this. Yeah. It's been delayed. So I'm kind of waiting on whenever that's going to come back and actually launch and stuff, but that is so promising. That looks so good.
It's got some great names attached to it as well. It's got like full voice acting and everything. It's got some great voice actors attached to it.
I love that sort of stuff, and I love that they support mods. Yeah, but obviously the updates and stuff, they'll set it back a little bit. Yeah, of course. But like, I think
it's the new like next gen patch, isn't it? Yeah,
it'll take a little bit of time, but I love the principle of like a one set in London. I love the idea of that, because it's never been explored in the games either. It's all America.
It's all in America.
I'd love the show to kind of take it in a different direction and go,
it'd be unreal.
We're going to go to like the UK or something, or Europe, or somewhere else in the world.
Or even doing it like China, showing the other side. Show the other side of the war.
100%. That would be dead interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love when I was learning about the lore and watching these videos and learning about the ghouls and about like the creatures and like the weapons and stuff like that. Like that's the stuff that I love. Video game lore. I love that kind of stuff. When we spoke of the video game one, the Black Ops Zombies lore was like my bread and butter as a kid, and clearly just shows. But I love learning about that stuff, and the vault, learning about the vault and the control vaults and how every vault was different and all the different experiments and stuff and social experiments that they did, I just found so interesting. And there's so many vaults. What's there, like 114 or something like that? Like more than that.
Not a clue.
The map that we just showed, the map they showed in the last episode of all the vault. It's like there's so much different stuff. And even doing other, like as much as this one's set in California, there's so many other places in America that's not being explored in the Fallout games. Obviously, like I said, they teased New Vegas, which is cool that they're showing somewhere else.
Yeah, I'd love to see sort of like a bit more exploration like that. I think the story could definitely go places with it being a TV show. You could probably do more with that, because you don't have to build a new map every time you like move to a new place. You can just sort of show a bit of an area, and I think that would be where it gets really interesting. And I think apocalyptic shows like to do that a little bit. I know The Walking Dead did like to wander a little bit and find big cities and towns, same as The Last of Us as well. So I would be kind of interested to see how they would go about that. But I'd love to see, China would be a great one. See the other side of it. We've never seen the other side, Did they have their own vault technology?
Yeah, it's like, do they have their own vault tech?
Over there? Like, that's super interesting. And then there's a whole like aesthetic that would come with that, you know.
Because when they show like the board meeting, there's one of the companies is called West Tech, which is kind of interesting. Obviously, depending on where West, because it's literally almost spelled exactly the same as Vault-Tec. So it'd be interesting to see what that kind of. It'd be interesting to see what the other companies are based on. I think there was some biomed ones, but it's like it's just finding about these other countries. Like it's established that it affected the entire world. It's not just America and China. Like it'd be so interesting to see if other countries had their own equivalent to Vault-Tec, or if Vault-Tec were actually international, and it's just like it's not said, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
they have European branches and stuff.
There's definitely options, and I think they've got that sort of freedom to explore that, and I hope they do. I think they shouldn't be restricted by what the games allow. I think they've been told places they can't go.
Oh, really?
I think they were said that you can't go here, you can't go here, you can't go here. There was one place that they were told they couldn't go because I think it's going to be where Fallout 5 is set.
Really? Oh.
So they're obviously building that story over a long amount of time now, but they don't want the show to go there and touch on it because then it might ruin things in the games. So I think it wants to sort of take its time and go in a particular direction with that. But I think with the future of the Fallout series, I'd love to see a bit of different stuff. Like, what can we do with that aesthetic? I think we've definitely got another couple series with this aesthetic that needs to sort of build up into something. But Series 2, Series 3 needs to build into more and more and more lore and pick up that. We can't just have the aesthetic of the game where it's just like exploring for the sake of exploring. We need to pick up some more stuff. Now, they've covered a little snippet there. They've definitely got another couple series of just exploring and seeing more of the new concepts. But I think at that point we sort of need the stakes to go higher and higher and the story to become bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it'd be interesting to see how they do New Vegas, see how they tie New Vegas into the story, with it still being like this casino gambling kind of place. I think having more of the Brotherhood of Steel is very cool. Just show more of the Brotherhood of Steel, especially this new Brotherhood of Steel that's talking about establishing. New California Republic obviously was established. I think you definitely end up. I don't think they'd squash the New California Republic. I think there'd definitely be more of that. But yeah, I'd like to see more of like. I'd like to see it like have Lucy almost follow how the characters do in the show. I guarantee that Lucy dons power armor at some point. I'd be shocked if they didn't do it.
She probably will. Yeah.
My biggest thing for the second season is I'd love them to find an empty vault and like have them explore this vault and have them have this
different vibes though, like
she's already
like
sort of
thing.
Like as much as Lucy's already had this realization that the vaults aren't good places, have her actually see like the only vaults she's seen are two that still live. They just have underlying experiments. Have her fully see like the vaults that you find in the games, like that have dead bodies littered. All the doors are open, like there's creatures roaming, like all that kind of stuff. Also, I'd like to see Deathclaw, which I think would be funny to see. And Deathclaw's like the big creature. You will have fought Deathclaw. You know the creature that you fight with horns with the power armor.
Yeah, no, I have.
That's a Deathclaw.
Yeah, stupid. Yeah. Horrible things. I'm interested as well to see the dynamic of the fact that the Ghoul and Lucy are traveling together.
Yeah.
Now, in that sort of direction, in that pursuit of knowledge and finding stuff, and I think that's interesting. I like when a dynamic shifts like that. I think the dynamic shifted a lot of times in this series with who's mixing with who, and I love that. And I'm very excited to see where that dynamic goes, where that partnership goes, what they can explore with that. I think there's just a lot of excitement around the future of this, and I love seeing a TV show that comes out of nowhere and hits a lot of points and is just sort of there, like proper event TV. I love seeing something come out of the blue and everyone's watching it, everyone's talking about it. And it's the same with that like Baby Reindeer as well, right? Like that, if you've seen that.
I've seen stuff, but I've not watched it, but I've seen like stuff on it, if that makes sense. Like I've seen it. I saw that it caught the news quite, like it hit the. What the hell am I saying? Like it gained a lot of traction. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's one of those things. It's like it's completely come out of nowhere. No one really knows much about it, but then it appears on a streaming platform, and then suddenly everyone's talking about it. And it's that sort of thing. Like a mate at work told me about it one day. And coincidentally, I think that morning a clip of Baby Reindeer had appeared on my TikTok, and he told me about it that day, and I was like, oh no, I thought I saw a clip about that. I watched the trailer, I thought, oh, this looks really good. And I was like, oh, I'll watch that this weekend. And then next day comes and someone else mentions it to me, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. By the time I actually got round to watching it, everyone was watching it and telling me to watch it, and I was like, it's amazing how something can just appear like a drop in the ocean, and then suddenly amass this massive sort of following behind it. It's intrigue. It's a little bit like Tiger King in back in lockdown. If you remember that, like
even like Squid Game.
Squid Game. I never watched Squid Game, but so yeah, not really.
Just to reach the point, yeah.
But yeah,
it's
event TV, and I love that about these sorts of shows that come out of the woodworks. Now, Fallout is an adaptation, so of a video game, so I love that. What would you sort of like to see out of other? I think I keep asking this question because I just love the concept of it. But other video game adaptations, like I know I've obviously mentioned,
what video games would I like to see
Portal
adapted?
And
oh,
I mean, if you did, I'm not going to say it's just if you did a Portal series,
Portal's
you have to bring
such
back
a good one.
Stephen Merchant as Wheatley.
100
brilliant.
1,000%. I think, but this is the thing though. If you do a Portal one, I think doing Portal like how they've done Fallout, where you see like you see the test, you see like Gladys, you see all the stuff.
How it became abandoned, how everyone died and stuff.
Like
that's...
what they show in Portal 2, where you go underground and you show all the old test facilities, finding out about like I can't remember what his name was.
Cave
the
Johnson.
The guy who like invented and did all the tests and stuff.
Life gives you lemons. It's like,
yeah,
you don't fucking
like seeing Wheatley that isn't in robot form, like seeing like how they did with Codsworth, like having that person who is the voice inspired, like that kind of thing. God, what video games would I like to see adapted?
I mean, I think we've talked about this already, but I think this has sort of brought it out of me a little bit more. Where I'm like, actually, I am really open to see this.
God, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Destiny.
That's a hard question. There's been rumors for a long time, and I think it could work. It's got really good lore, like really good lore. Sure. Not that half the players don't know it, but
it's part. You have to be. It's like Rick and Morty, mate. You have to be clever to understand it. You have to be highly
full
intelligent.
Degree to it's like there's so many. I'm gonna have a think, and I'm gonna put some stuff on Twitter when this
Freddy's
a FNAF TV show.
Yeah. Oh God, no! Please, no! Just make more films.
God, I can't even.
I've already talked about Red Dead. I think Red Dead.
Red Dead's such a good
series,
one,
and that is going to happen. I guarantee. I would put money on that happening because everyone talks about it. Jack Black.
Henry Cavill came out and was like, "Oh, I'd love to be a part of that."
That's something where Rockstar need to just sell the rights.
They're doing an Among Us movie, aren't they?
Oh, fuck off!
I'm being serious.
What?
Google it. They've got cast and everything for it.
Don't tell me the cast. Don't tell me the cast. Let me have a look at this. Among Us.
Oh, I was going to say Borderlands, but that's getting a movie, isn't it?
That's got a movie, yeah.
Yeah, there's so
Among
many.
Us the movie, 2020.
Yeah.
2020.
Was it this? Wait, no.
That's 4 years ago. It's not actually.
No. There's an actual. I keep seeing it on Twitter that there's like different castings. There's not.
I think you're talking shite, mate.
I'm definitely not.
What do you mean? There's no film adaptation of Among Us.
No, it's not a TV show.
I don't know.
I'm sure. I keep seeing
adaptations. Hang on.
I keep seeing a
animated series.
Unless it's an animated series, I keep seeing like cast members being announced for it.
It's American actors Randall Park, Yvette Nicole Brown, Elijah Wood, and Ashley Johnson will provide voice roles in the series. Dan Stevens, Liz Hewson, and Kimiko Glenn would join the cast. There's Deborah Wilson, Patton Oswalt, Phil Lamar, and Wayne Knight would also join the cast. So this is an actual
It's an animated TV show, I wasn't sure.
But what is... I'm confused, but there's no actual link to it. Among Us TV show. I'm so confused. This is it here, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why would you... Why would you make this show? I just can't see this being at all... Unless it's a complete strict comedy, then I'd be 100% down.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be, isn't it?
But it's animated. It's not fun if it's animated. If it was a live-action Among Us show, that would be very funny.
I have a game that I would like to see have an adaptation. I don't know how the hell they do it,
Go on,
but I think it would be cool. Papers, Please.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout, actually.
It's got a great story that I think could... It's how the hell you adapt that into a TV show, I don't know.
Difficult.
But I think it's a cool... It'd be quite a cool one to do.
Could GTA ever work, I wonder? Probably not.
GTA is GTA's like...
Because it's a completely unique story, isn't it, every time? Whereas Red Dead follows that exact story, and that is great. And I
also think GTA is a hard one with it being so modern day.
Yeah.
Like GTA 6 is literally just the Florida news. Like, it's... Like, you can basically just boot up the American news, and that's Grand Theft. Like,
but the story, though, the story of GTA 5.
Yeah.
Unreal.
But then would it be the same? Would it be the same without...
No, you couldn't redo it. You'd have to do it like Fallout, where it's like in the same universe.
But then that's just Fast and Furious.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. Like, it's not really worth doing, but Red Dead would be amazing.
Oh, Red Dead would 100%
be amazing.
Be worth doing.
And Yeah, Portal, I think, is probably up there for me.
Portal's
I think
such-
Portal would be
I've
my
never even
favourite.
thought.
I think Portal would be my favourite, actually.
Portal
Now,
would be
I'm
such a good
passing
one.
Red Dead. Red Dead would be great, but Portal would be a great series like Fallout where they could do something really cool with that.
Imagine
Especially
being
with
on set and having the portal gun. Like, imagine that
But
being...
imagine the physics of the CGI with that would be so fun.
Oh my god, it'd be awful. It'd be an absolute mindfuck, but
You'd
it'd be good.
you have to do a bit of stuff with it because obviously it's not really much of an open world. It is very much a puzzle game, so you'd have to do something with that. But I think
That's what I'm saying. Having it as like that, like
story,
having it as like a test subject, and you learn about the lore of that kind of thing.
Yeah, flashbacks,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Other characters. Maybe this is back in when it sort of is still in control or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you do it, but I reckon there's definitely a way of doing it, and I think they should. I don't think they will, but I think they should. I don't know who they is, mind. I'm just assuming that someone with a lot of
Jonathan
money
Nolan
would want to do it.
Henry Cavill and Jonathan Nolan. If you ever need adaptation, just give it to those two.
Yeah, too fair. But yeah. That is Fallout, and I'm again super excited about it. I thought it was a great show. I wasn't expecting we weren't going to do a podcast episode about it. We didn't plan to, but we both watched it, both liked it, and we're like, we have to talk about this.
We've not even touched on like the cinematography.
Which is great,
which is phenomenal.
It looks incredible. It looks really good.
Stunning.
I'm super impressed by it.
The practical the sets built for it. I need to have a look at some of the behind the scenes. Like, the set must have been nutty for it.
It's the fact that the power armor was
the power armor is amazing.
The fact that was practical is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I love it.
Good.
There's so much going for it, and I think it's sort of when something has such a strong aesthetic that it's already popular, you have to do something with it, and I love that they're running with it. I
don't think I've said this, but I love the fact that it wasn't. I might have already said this. I love the fact that it wasn't a game adaptation. I love that it was its own story. Yeah, I love that it 100%. Didn't adapt one of the games.
It's a different way of doing it. It's a different way of doing it, and I think it works really well for this format. I think that's exactly what they needed to do with this. If they try and adapt to the game, it would be too convoluted and boring, and you'd miss out loads of stuff, and everyone would pick holes in it. And that's the thing with like The Last of Us. That really works because it is a very strict narrative game. Yeah. Whereas this is an open world game. You could base something in that world. And maybe the same with Red Dead could work. Maybe if you can make a compelling story, then that would really work. But I don't know. I kind of feel like I'd like to see an adaptation with that. I think you could do so much with the Red Dead 2 story. Oh my god.
I think Red Dead you'd have to adapt the games because I think
it's too strong a story. You'd always be comparing.
I think you have to be careful with it because if you something with Fallout, the universe is so separate to other kind of other styles that you can do its own story. Yeah. Whereas if you were to do something in the Red Dead universe, have nothing, have none of the characters from Red Dead, it's just a Western at that point. So, whereas with Red Dead, Red Dead is known because of its story and because of its characters. Like, doing a spin-off, doing something that's different, but including those characters makes sense. But you have to be careful because if you don't do that, it's just a Western and you can make an argument that's not on the Red. Obviously, if you cross towns and stuff like that, I understand, but it's kind of like, it's finding those worlds, like with Portal's a world where you could do something that's, as much as the games are very like cut and done, and I don't know how they do it around it, you could do it as a different story.
That's because people have made spin-offs of Portal with the game engine anyway. Aperture tag and stuff. Like, they've made it where it's like different test subject, different cores with different voice acting, different experiments. Like, it's a massive
even having a different facility.
But but it's one massive facility. There's so much you could do with it, and it's time. Like, Shell in Portal has been in a cryostasis thing and wakes up like however long later. Yeah. There's so much you can do with that, and I'd be interested to see how that would work. But I'd love to see it happen.
I would as well. I think I've never even considered a Portal adaptation, but I think you've hit the nail on the head. That's my number one. I'd like to see a Portal adaptation.
That's the best. That's the outcome of this podcast.
Yeah. Please adapt Fallout. Anyway, shall we move on to our... sorry.
They've already done that, mate. That's kind of what the episode was about.
Start it again. Run it back. I think it's time to move on to our dedicated section of the podcast, George.
Is it
Shall
time?
we move on to Just News?
Oh, yes.
It's Just News time.
Let's do it.
Just News is a little segment that we have on the podcast. It's our only dedicated section where each week, depending on who is hosting and introducing the podcast, finds a nice little funny or wacky weird news story and presents it to the other one completely blind. They've not seen it before. So it was me this week who was finding it. So let's delve into
I'm excited.
my story. George.
Go
on. Alabama radio station off the air after 200-foot radio tower is stolen.
How on fucking God's earth?
That is the exact same thing that I said.
Do you steal Sorry, did you go missing or stolen?
Stolen.
Ridiculous. They probably need some better security.
If you happen to see a 200-foot radio tower lying around, there's a radio station in Jasper, Alabama that would love to hear from you. WJLX-AM has been off air since Feb 2nd, when a landscaping crew visited the site where the tower is supposed to be for a bit of routine maintenance. The station's general manager, Brett Elmore, told Birmingham Fox affiliate WBRC, that he was shocked when a crew member called him with some news. When he arrived, he called me on Friday and said, "The tower is gone." Elmore told WBRC.
Elmore?
Elmore.
Okay.
Elmore. I said, "What do you mean the tower's gone? Are you sure that you're in the right place?" He said, "No, the tower is gone. There are wires everywhere and it's gone."
What?
The radio station's Facebook account announced that the theft by rightfully noting this is going to get out eventually, so I might as well make it public before it does. There was more. This morning, my bush hog crew went down to the tower site to do an early cleanup of the property before we did some work down there.
Hang on. We need to really just take a fucking pause right there. I cannot believe for a second that a 200-foot radio tower went missing and they thought someone's nicked it. How? Right, like, surely this is America. Surely it'll be like tornadoes. Aliens. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I was trying to go.
It's rational. America. Of course, they're going to blame aliens.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was going to say it's America. It's either a tornado that's done it, or guns.
Guns have stolen it. Guns have broken it.
Stolen it. Guns have reduced it to wires.
to just molecules. When he arrived, he called and notified me that there was not only was my building vandalised, but my 200-foot tower was gone. They stole every.
So why did they fail to mention that earlier? You made me look like a right fucking mug now. Like,
no, this is just the article.
Building was vandalised.
They stole every piece of equipment out of the building.
Wow.
Cut the guy wires to the tower and somehow managed to down a 200-foot tower and take it from the property.
How did they do that? So they nicked everything and then thought, may as well have the tower as well.
Yeah, literally.
They've
stolen all of like this radio transmission equipment and then disassembled this tower.
It's just they're basically what they're trying to do is set up a radio network. It was actually us. Exactly, and now just completely off topic, but announcing this, we have some brand new news. About radio coming to you very soon. Ignore the 200-foot tower coming out of central London.
200-foot tower being erected near you. Nostalgia Bit Radio. Although Elmore filed a police report, Jasper Mayor David O'Meara told NBC News that local authorities lack the information needed to conduct a full-fledged investigation.
Right. Bollocks.
WJLX listeners can still visit the station online, but a note on its website said the Federal Communications Commission denied a request to broadcast on FM radio via a sister location.
Ooh, interesting. I think foul play.
Do you reckon?
Why? What? It got a 200-foot tower got nicked, and then suddenly all of the local radio networks are like, no.
The police are like, we don't have enough information.
Bollocks.
Your tower was never there.
Something's gone wrong.
Local broadcasting colleagues have reportedly offered to help find a temporary transmitter location, according to Inside Radio. Elmore said that the tower and other equipment weren't insured, so the station has organised a GoFundMe campaign to raise $60,000 and get back on air.
So even if they did sort of pretend that someone was vandalised, they forgot to get insurance, so they didn't even get any money off it. I reckon that might have been what they were trying to do, like insurance fraud, but forgot to get insurance.
That'd be so funny. But there's the thing though, why the hell would you insure a 200-foot tower? I mean, in case something flies into it, I understand, but at the same time it's but not theft.
I
you don't get theft insurance.
Yeah, you don't theft insurance in case someone steals a 200-foot tower. What was it made of? Fucking papier-mâché? Why is it made out of fucking... How is it so easy to steal?
It's actually made out of lolly sticks.
It's actually fucking Lego. They just dismantled it. It's just like just happened to be outside of a Lego shop.
It was just a gust of wind knocked it over.
Yeah.
It
was playing cards.
It's It's like, in the Lego games when like you destroy walls and stuff. And then it,
someone punched it and it went. It's broke into like a million fucking.
Bro, they got to go closer. They just rebuild it. As a Friday afternoon. At the end. As a Friday afternoon.
Oh, they got a mini kit out of it. That's not too bad.
That's the insurance. As of Friday afternoon, the campaign has raised around $1,400, but Elmore is trying to remain optimistic. We're a small market station, but we're going to get back, and we're going to be back on air as soon as we possibly can, he said to NBC News. Currently, there is no suspects in the theft.
We're only a small station. We're so innocent. We're only a small station, guys. We can't afford another 200-foot tower. Ooh.
Another 60 grand. Currently, there are no suspects in the theft, but Elmore told Inside Radio that he doesn't see some guy off the street doing this, and added, "This looks like a professional hit. Anyone with information as to who might have a 200-foot radio tower in their possession is asked to contact the Jasper Police Department."
And unbelievable that is, mind. Just sort of pointing
funny,
it out.
Isn't it?
Anyone who might have any information as to who might have a 200-foot fucking radio tower in their back garden.
Imagine, I just got me fucking neighbour Barry's just erected like this massive fucking tower in his back garden. Like, I think it might be a radio tower.
And thank you to our guest Stevie Buzzcock for coming on the podcast.
What a boy.
Just like ringing up going, that would happen in Newcastle, I reckon, actually.
What?
I think what's someone nicking a radio tower.
It wouldn't surprise me.
We're talking about some areas in Newcastle where people's like grandmas nick ice cream vans and all that shit. So I be granny nicked and Mr. Whippy the other week, like. Aye. Now Barry got a big tower in his garden. Fucking ridiculous.
Just don't call it.
They probably thought it was like a souvenir Eiffel Tower or something.
It's like, like arguments where it's like people build fences and they're like, "Oh, it's blocking my natural sun." I mean, it was just erected a 200-foot tower and it's blocking modern sunlight.
Sorry, mate, have you got building permission for that? I don't know.
Extension, no. The council's like, extension, no. Radio tower, yes.
I was like, hang on, calling up Gateshead Council like, oh yeah, they wouldn't let us build a fucking conservatory, but this bastard gets a fucking 20-foot tower.
200-foot radio tower, come on. Or I guess you could build 10 20-foot radio towers.
He wanted a way of being able to blast MC Mental on repeat 24/7, and he couldn't work out a way of doing it without nicking a radio tower. So, oh god, this is great. My god, this is excellent.
I reckon it was an inside job. I reckon it was done by like another radio station. Yeah, I reckon that's what it is.
So an outside job then.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I think it was like some sort of like
competitor.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, without a doubt. And I think they've probably just gone through the night, disassembled it, and just whacked it in a van and whacked it in storage.
It's like, yeah. Sorry, Barry. I noticed you've now got 2 radio towers at your station. Oh yeah, we bought another one. I just couldn't help but notice one of ours has gone missing. No, we just bought another one, man.
You're transmitting on our exact old radio frequency. That's so bizarre.
It's really odd. It's like, it's not us. Anyway, do you have any spare wires? Because this one didn't come with any. Fucking nutcase. That's ridiculous. What a fucking strange story.
It's not even asking for the wires. It's like, oh mate, I heard you had a radio tower missing. Can I borrow those spare wires that are just lying around? Definitely on cut.
I mean, you didn't fucking need them anymore, like, do you?
These wires that are cut to the exact length that we need for our radio station.
I mean, it happened in Alabama. Why are we doing Jordan Bridge?
That's what I was just.
Why is this happening in like fucking Baker? What's going on?
It's been flown over, obviously. They're transmitting on American radio frequencies by stealing the radio tower from America.
So can you imagine that somewhere along the Atlantic, and you're just sort of like, you sort of sneakily turn on your Bluetooth on a flight and you connect to some broadcast of MC Mental flying across the ocean. Like, what the fuck is that? Some military thing.
Imagine. Oh my god.
Oh, this is derailed now. We've completely
That's a good
gone
news
off.
story, yeah. It's good news. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Nostalgia Bit. I hope you enjoyed us discussing all things Fallout. If you have enjoyed, please leave us a hearty 5-star review on Spotify. It really helps us out.
Well.
And it's the equivalent of giving us like a YouTube like, and it helps us reach wider audiences. Please follow us on Instagram and TikTok to see our beautiful faces. Yeah. And no doubt you will be seeing us giggling to ourselves doing really horrible and over-enthusiastic Geordie accents at some point in the near future. So,
and obviously, of course, as well, before we leave, do look out for Nostalgia Bit Radio coming very soon.
That's true, yeah. Obviously, if you want to hear us 24/7, listen for Nostalgia Bit Radio. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. Follow Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. It'll all be linked below. And I hope to not see you next week. I hope you will be back next week for whatever episode we have planned. So, hello, it's Cooper. I'm just going to jump in here right at the very end because we did keep going on and keep talking about what we're going to do next week. However, we've kind of pushed things back and jigged some stuff around. Next week's actually going to be our top 5 movies of all time. It should be a very interesting one with George hosting it, and it will be right here on the Nostalgia Bit podcast, wherever you're listening to this. Definitely not through a 300-foot radio tower, nor will it be on Nostalgia Bit Radio. So come back next week, and you will hear our top 5 movies of all time. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for listening.